Well, to talk more about this, we're now joined by Dr. Sonia Lal Gupta, a neurologist, a Metro Group of Hospitals. Thank you so much, Dr. Sonia, for joining us. Tell us more about, firstly, this issue that many COVID survivors talk about, something that's referred to as brain fog.
Absolutely, Karti. It's very important. It's great that you are covering this because this is now becoming, an upcoming issue. And what we're starting to notice is that a lot of patients, with COVID, especially moderate to severe COVID infections, start having these neurological post-COVID neurological symptoms like brain fog, headache, dizziness. Common complaint would be कि मुझे ऐसे लगता है मेरे सिर पे, मैं भारी लग रहा है, मैं सीधा सोच नहीं पाता हूँ, जितना मेरे पहले फोकस था उतना मैं रख नहीं पाता हूँ. So those are the common complaints that people have, that I can't think clearly. Now the reason for that is, there are 2-3 theories behind it. We know for a fact that yes, COVID-19 infection does impact the brain in multiple ways. The most common way is, of course, it causes headaches when people get a fever. It causes fatigue, it causes dizziness. Those symptoms are the common ones. Then anosmia, or the difficulty in smell that people complain about, is actually also a neurological issue. And what we have seen in some brain autopsies is that the olfactory tract, these are the group of nerves of the nose which are found in the brain. There is presence of swelling or inflammation as well as the virus. So those are the common ones. Then we come to the more rare but still frequently found conditions like you mentioned, encephalopathy or alteration of consciousness. So people are more confused. People may not be able to, think clearly. Some people also have, swelling in the brain called encephalitis. And we are starting to find this is all related with the COVID, possibly causing the blood-brain barrier. COVID has also been found to cause stroke. Now, the reason, as it happened in the patient that you just showed, what happens in the COVID-19 infection is that increases the chances of inflammation or swelling. Also, it makes your blood more thicker, and that increases the chances of having a stroke. So all these symptoms together, so even once a person recovers, it takes time. What the latest data is also showing is that a lot of patients suffering from a COVID-19 infection might have a form of a post-traumatic stress disorder, where you also see depression.
And why is that? Why would they be in this sort of a trauma?
So, as you know, COVID-19 infection, the biggest problem, it's a very lonely disease. People are left all alone, no family support whatsoever. They're in the hospitals for 14 days, sometimes longer. If they have moderate to severe disease, they might be on oxygen, some people even on the ventilator. So that anxiety, so depression and anxiety, secondary to the loneliness and the fear of what is going to happen, it is shown to start impacting the brain. And these long-term effects are what are causing conditions like brain fog, increased anxiety, dizziness, headaches.
And Dr. Sonia, is this in younger people as well? Because, there's some sort of impression that younger people don't get affected as much by coronavirus that they seem to have, which we need to dispel also.
No, absolutely. I think the first and foremost, everybody needs to understand COVID-19 infection can be severe in anyone. Yes, the elderly or somebody with an underlying chronic condition might be more prone to it, but younger people in no way can escape from it. We have seen a lot of young patients who are absolutely healthy also, who've had severe COVID-19 infections. So the young people are also prone to it. And Karti, one more thing is, not everybody might have those severe symptoms, but brain fog or that inability to focus is seen in a lot of people who've probably also had a mild to moderate infection, possibly not that severe kind. So it's all related with the healing process, and I think as we move along, it will be, we will have to see what studies show in terms of how long term, these effects would be. Another thing would also, and I think the last thing I would say is, the other thing is, now we have data showing that maybe there is a genetic predisposition in some people to have more severe infections as well as to get encephalitis, depending on the genetic components and how they respond to COVID. So I think when we bring everything together, hopefully soon we will have more answers, to how.
That's right. Thank you so much, Dr. Sonia, for talking about this. And it's something that, everyone needs to be aware about, patients as well as their families. Thank you for joining us.